Welcome to PhD&D on YouTube. This is going to be my thoughts and opinions on the D&D Next playtest that has officially, I think, ended for the most part. But a while back, Wizards of the Coast announced that they were going to come out with the next edition of Dungeons & Dragons. The most recent edition being 4th edition, very controversial, one of my favorites as many of you may know. And so they came out with the D&D Next playtest. Now, I'm under the impression that it's not going to actually be called D&D Next. Not that that really matters. They're trying to get something that, fans from every edition can like in the new one and appreciate. So I think they're going to call it just Dungeons and Dragons. They're not going to put an edition on it. But I'm not sure on that. If somebody knows, feel free to correct me. So, anyways, they came out with these playtests, the open playtests, so that everyone could get involved, give feedback, try it out, and follow their progress as they went along. So, from the beginning, I've been following that, been playing, been DMing, and now I'd like to give my thoughts, my opinions, after that has kind of officially closed down. So, let's start at the beginning. The first couple packets I was DMing an online game in Google Hangouts, one of my first actual Google Hangout games. It was weekly, and I would say over the first 2 or 3 packets probably, those were going fairly consistently. Schedules got tough, so we abandoned those games, and those were some fun packets. You saw a lot of changes happen. Players weren't too happy each time a new packet came out because I made them, remake their character. This was just kind of a side campaign. The whole purpose of it was to playtest Next, and so I told them, I was like, a new packet comes out. If your class changes, you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to change it and go with it because we're trying out these rules as they evolve. They got over that eventually, and so that was pretty fun. Sort of in the middle of the overall playtest, I actually got to play in a couple games. My roommate was running a game, and I played an assassin, and it was a cool build. I remember I could assassinate someone, and if they weren't aware that I was around and I hit, I'm pretty sure it dealt maximum damage. And again, the playtests, there were certain parts that were very unbalanced, and so the playtest following, they disappeared altogether or were worked in somewhere else. And I could do extra damage. If I killed someone outright, everyone within like 20 feet had to make some type of save so they weren't frightened of me. Makes you feel pretty cool as a character, but in the end, first level, I don't think that is where that belongs. But those are some of my memories from the middle of the road packets. Now, more recently, we've had a very consistent weekly game going. 2 games, actually. I'm DMing one in-person game and playing in one in-person game each week that was using the D&D Next rules. And I would say we've done it over the last 3 to 4 packets, the final 3 or 4. And some major changes happened there. Gen Con happened, big packet change there. And so some of the things that I noticed overall were that, so let's take, for instance, one of the big ones. They dropped skills out of one of the packets. You have you have some skills you can get. Let's say somebody wants to try and listen for something. You could anybody can do it, but if you have that skill, you're better at it. There was one point where you had skill die. You could roll those, add them in. Check out the playtest if you want to actually know more. Well, never mind, don't, because you can't find those. But anyways, they took those out and replaced it with like a lore section and said more things were coming with that. And at first, everyone was very upset, myself included. And after playing a few games, we're like, all right, without specific skills in mind, you get more creative on doing things. You don't just stick to a certain list of what you can and cannot do. And that was fine. I never ended up liking the whole lore thing that happened there. That just never worked for me. And I think we'll get to the final packet here in a second. Some of that was changed and balanced. But so anyways, yeah. DM'd a game, played in an Eberron game, where I started out as a fighter class. The DM dropped that campaign after 2 weeks. We're still not sure why, but he started up a new one in Eberron right after that. There's something he wasn't liking. So now I play an Oni Mage, which is an awesome race / class to play. If you've never tried it, try it. And so I've gotten used to the Mage class, enjoyed it. There's a lot you can do with that. Now that fast forwards to like probably the third to last and second to last packet, and there were some neat changes in there. I'm not going to divulge too much on the actual mechanics because those aren't as important right now. Those are changing very rapidly. Just want to give my thoughts and opinions on it. And we had a lot of fun with them. We really did. We got to a point, however, right before the final packet came out. Actually, right as it came out, we actually never played the final packet. I read through the final packet, saw some of the changes they'd made, adding like proficiency bonuses to things, and adding, a class and putting some races in was nice. But we never played it. We kind of got playtest burnout, if you will. We realized, we have 4th edition. We all enjoy 4th edition. It's way more accessible to us. We have, tons of resources. Some of the guys like the Character Builder online. We've got all these different books we can go to. Just more for inspiration, I think. And we were pretty much done with the playtest at that point. So never got to play the actual final packet, but read through it. In theory, I liked a lot of the changes. I'm really worried about how those actually played out for people. So I'd like to hear that if you actually played that and what you think about that. But the final packets and the progression that was made in D&D Next from the very beginning, I liked a lot of the changes. I like the overall, the best thing that I gather from it. If you read their weekly articles, I think Mike Merles does like Legends and Lore. Maybe that's not even right. Anyways, a weekly column about D&D Next and kind of what they're doing. And the overall goals and things they're trying to accomplish are very good. I agree with all of them. Now, how you see that in a playtest, people are getting mad, people are getting angry. You're not following, that doesn't fit this goal, that doesn't do this. Well, it's a playtest, people. You have no idea what the final game is going to look like. And maybe it will suck, who knows, but wait for it. But I like the overall goals and the direction they want to go with it. Now, whatever direction they will go, who can say? You just don't know. Now it's in a closed playtest, and we'll find out, I'm assuming, next year at Gen Con. I am excited for it. I will buy at least the core of whatever they're selling. I'll buy enough to be able to play the game. There you go. And if I don't like it from that point, straight back to 4th edition. That's the biggest piece of advice I could give. If you don't like a game, don't play it. You don't have to play the newest, latest game. Play whichever one you like. So we'll go back to 4th edition if we don't like it. If we're starting to like it and really pick up on whatever they've produced as that next edition, then yeah, maybe buy some more of the resources and play that as long as we're enjoying it more than 4th edition. But overall, it was a good experience. It was fun to playtest something. I tried to do all the playtest surveys. I think I got all of them done, except the last one. All the ones that I was able to play on. I think they really did use a lot of the feedback. Now, to push it in the direction that people wanted overall. Now, if you provided, individual feedback on you need to add this rule, add this rule, add this rule, they're not going to listen to that. You're not game designers, most of you. You got to keep that in mind. It's their job to make the game. They just want to know, are you liking or disliking what they're doing? So it was fun to play test. That was my experience with it. Again, I know I didn't get into too much detail of what rules I liked, what rules I didn't like. Yes, I think one of the best things they have overall is the advantage-disadvantage. Tons of people have said that. That's a good system. It play tested very well for us, and it was very simple, very quick. Didn't have to get too much into mechanics with that and get away from role-playing. So overall, the D&D Next playtest was fun. It got a little bit long for me. Burnout, like I said, happened, so we're back to 4th edition. But if you're curious, you can head over to the Wizards website. I'm sure you can still download the latest packet, read all the way through it. I like what they've done with a lot of things. It's kind of its own game. but it's got a little piece of every one of the other games or other editions somewhere, within it. So, yeah, it was fun overall. Don't knock it unless you've actually played it either, because there's a lot of stuff in there I didn't like until it was actually played out. That's part of game design, is a lot of play testing. So definitely try stuff out if you're worried about it, because you may end up liking it, or something that may turn out a lot worse than you thought. You may look at it and say, that's a great idea, play tests horribly. So anyways, enough of that long rant. That's my thoughts on D&D Next, on the whole playtest, how that went. But like I said, I'll definitely give the game a try when it comes out. Always give it a shot. But they've basically got those whatever the first release is, the first core set, whatever, to convince me to stay with that game. Because if you don't like that, back to 4th edition. Thanks for watching.